shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
And another one. We've had 3 days in a row with record highs, and we could do it again today with temperatures in the mid-90s. I'll show you when the heat finally moves out.
Plus, serious crash. A car destroyed in Harnett County. What we're learning from the scene in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. Plus, data center regulations. A new push by state lawmakers today to put restrictions on their development. What it includes and how it could save you money. Well, thanks so much for joining us here on WRAL News at 4:30. It is dark, it is early, but we're going to go ahead and get things going. I'm Chris Lovingood. To start things off, yes, it is another warm one to start, and things are only going to get warmer from here. We have Elizabeth Gardner tracking that right now in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
It has been quite a heat wave that we saw. It started over the weekend. We had a record high on Sunday and, of course, yesterday and Monday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Today, it's likely to be a repeat of that with really warm temperatures. It's a warm start for us. 71 is our temperature. Our winds are southwest at 11 miles per hour right now. And, of course, it's that southwesterly wind that continues to keep things warm for us. It's 66 in Roxborough, 67 Fayetteville, 68 in Rocky Mount. But, again, we're already in the low 70s around the Triangle. And here we go. Today will look a lot like yesterday and the day before. Right around lunchtime, we'll hit 90 and we'll be in the mid-90s this afternoon, which should put us right up around a record. And tomorrow's the day that everything changes. We have a front that'll come through that's going to knock our temperatures down, but also make us put us back into a wetter pattern. We really need the rain. We'll talk about how much we can see all the way through the holiday weekend. Coming up, Chris.
All right, that sounds good, Elizabeth. Thank you. Well, right now, State Highway Patrol is investigating a pretty serious crash in Harnett County, and this is off NC 55 near Anger. Troopers have Oak Grove Church Road shut down between Royster Lane and Owens Road. WRAL's Ali Kadabar is there right now in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. Ali, what are you seeing so far? I can see the lights behind you.
Yeah, Chris, within the past minute, I just spoke with Highway Patrol, and they said that one person is confirmed to have died in this crash. We also know that 2 people were in this car, just one vehicle involved. I'm going to turn around so you can see it. You can see the vehicle involved in this crash. We do know, again, 2 people in that car. They were in that car. One person has died from this crash. And so we still have a lot more questions. State Highway Patrol says that they are investigating, and we can see a tow truck is here. They are working to tow that vehicle away. Harnett County Sheriff's deputies are also assisting, but State Highway Patrol is leading this investigation. We are, of course, staying on top of this story, working to find out more information throughout the morning. Reporting live in Harnett County, Ali Kadabar, WRAL News.
Well, today, North Carolina lawmakers are expected to roll out a proposal targeting big data centers. And if approved, it would prevent costs from shifting to consumers like you. Let's go ahead and bring in WRAL's Kirsten Clark to talk more about this. She's live outside the state legislative building. So, Kirsten, we've seen a lot of resistance against data centers, and that includes communities issuing moratoriums to pause development.
Yes, Chris, the data center boom has become a big issue here in our state, and it's why House Republicans are planning to propose what they call the Ratepayer Protection Act, proposing the first steps toward regulations for data centers. Now, the bill would require data centers to cover the cost of the electricity, grid upgrades, and new power generation. It comes as AI-driven data centers fuel a surge in demand on the state's electric grid. Utilities warn these facilities can use as much power as a small city, putting new pressure on utilities to expand infrastructure. The proposal would also prohibit cities and counties from offering economic development incentives to attract data centers and bars the use of eminent domain or taking private property for public use for data center siting. So the proposal is expected to be discussed in a House committee this afternoon. For more on this bill, you can head to the NC Capitol section of WRAL.com. Live in Raleigh, Kirsten Clark, WRAL News.
Yeah, definitely check that out on our website because it could affect you. So also today, the State House is expected to vote on 2 amendments that include limits on property and income taxes. The votes were postponed yesterday, and it could be a sign Republican lawmakers don't have the support they need to pass this bill. Proposed constitutional amendments need 72 votes to pass through the House, and if approved, they will be on the ballot for voters in November. Well, deputies are investigating after an 85-year-old woman was found dead near Apex. Her body was found surrounded by dogs, and Chatham County deputies were called to a home on Alston Road around 11 a.m. yesterday. This is in response to a report of a dog attack. That's where they say they found Betty Alston dead outside the home. A family member reportedly found 3 dogs near her body, and we spoke with a neighbor who says Alston was a familiar and a kind face in the community.
She's very friendly. She waves us and then like walk around every day, almost like every day. They walk around here and when they see me, they say hi.
And we spoke with Alston's family off camera. They describe her as a beloved mother, a sister, and a grandmother. Authorities say the dogs were secured and there's no threat to the community. Though police responded to reports of the dog attack, we are working to confirm it was the dogs that led to her death. Well, the CDC now says Americans quarantining at a Nebraska medical facility after exposure to hantavirus cannot leave. It was previously said the quarantine was voluntary. Now, according to a New York Times report, a passenger who tested negative and has no symptoms was planning to leave the facility, but she received a notice barring her from leaving. In Africa, supplies have arrived to help with the ongoing Ebola outbreak there. The American doctor who tested positive for the virus is now in Germany receiving specialized care. The group he was traveling with believes that he may have been exposed when operating on a patient. We have new information this morning after Monday's deadly shooting at the largest mosque in San Diego. The head of the FBI's San Diego office says the 2 teenagers involved in that shooting at the Islamic Center of San Diego apparently had outside sources that influenced their behavior. Law enforcement says these teenagers took their own lives, and officials say more than 30 guns were found during home searching, as well as a crossbow. 3 people were shot and killed, including a security guard. Well, today will mark the 4th straight day of record high temperatures, and some Wake County schools have seen the heat kind of creep into the classroom. On Monday, ACs broke in several schools across the district, including Salem Elementary and Reedy Creek Middle. Inside, temperatures actually hit at least 80 degrees for part of the day. WRAL has covered HVAC issues within the system for the schools for years, and the district's chief of the facilities and operations, Mark Strickland, says that part of the problem is a lack of funding.
We have not done a great job of maintaining things. That comes down to budget and staffing and what we can pay people. And so I think that's a clear message that we need to send.
Well, right now the district is budgeted to spend somewhere between $40 and $45 million on HVAC systems alone, and that's nearly double what they spent in 2023. Well, looks like calendars are changing at 8 Wake County schools, but they will all get to stay year-round. Last night, the school board voted against recommendations to move 4 of the schools to traditional calendars. Parents in Holly Springs and Wake Forest had protested those traditional calendars, and the schools will now stay year-round. But students will attend all at least once all at once, I should say, instead of in a complex system of groups. It's expected to save about $1 million. Wake County school leaders say that they likely didn't budget enough to accommodate state pay raises. State lawmakers' new proposal, pay raises there would only cover state-funded teachers, not the teachers funded by Wake County. District leaders say they could dip into savings or even cancel some other expenses to make up the difference. Raleigh's city manager is proposing a $1.76 billion budget for fiscal year 2027, and the plan closes a $13 million budget gap and includes a proposed 1.7-cent property tax increase. That's about $67 a year for the average homeowner. Investments include public safety, affordable housing, transportation improvements, and continued free downtown parking. Public hearings begin June 2nd. Today, the search for a missing kayaker on Roanoke Rapids Lake enters its 7th day. 2 men disappeared last Thursday when their kayak flipped in choppy water. And this video I want to show you is the moment rescue teams pulled one of the kayakers from the water. Teams are still searching for Angel Martinez. The man they pulled from the water was holding onto a life jacket Martinez gave him. And Martinez's family says that knowing he may have saved his friend's life, that brings them comfort.
My brother was honestly so selfless even at that moment, because that's another thing about my brother. He always cared about other people before himself. Always, 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 always.
Yeah, and this is just a reminder. Whenever you go boating, make sure you have a flotation device for every person aboard. Teams will continue their search for the rest of the week. A state-run appeals board is reviewing the call that cost a high school student and a state track and field championship there. Now, Mallard Creek High School in Charlotte is appealing a ruling that disqualified a runner because of a celebratory hand gesture as he crossed the finish line right here. Well, the official called what Niam Brown did unsportsmanlike. The school is now taking that case to the state's Department of Public Instruction. Okay, the Carolina Hurricanes will be back on the ice today, and they are going to prepare for the Eastern Conference Final in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Tomorrow night, the Canes will face the Montreal Canadiens in Game 1 at Lenovo Center. Now, the Canes haven't played a game since they finished a sweep of the Philadelphia Flyers. They're rested, they're ready to go, and they may face a stiffer challenge against Montreal. The Canadiens beat the Canes all 3 times they met in the regular season. Oh, but this is not the regular season. The stakes are different. Puck drop tonight is at 8 p.m. Your time is 4:40. Suing over student loans. North Carolina is one of several states joining a lawsuit against the U.S. Department of Education. Why they claim new rules are holding students back. Plus, snake sightings. The warm weather is bringing a lot of snakes out. What you can do to keep them out of your lawn.
Here's a look at our big picture weather-wise. This high pressure has been bringing the heat, but a cold front is getting closer to us. That means cooler temperatures and wetter weather. I'll show you when. 444, and we take a look at the tower outside there, and you can see that we have clear skies there. And we're looking, of course, at another nice bright day today, and that's going to, of course, bring us the warm temperatures like we saw yesterday. We'll see a high at 96 in Durham and Raleigh, 96 in Fayetteville. But everything begins to change for us tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll end up seeing, of course, a cold front come through, and that cold front will, of course, help to bring us that chance of thunderstorms. So we'll talk more about it coming up, Chris.
Sounds good, Elizabeth. Well, a criminal trial has begun for a former Virginia assistant principal who was charged after a 6-year-old student shot a teacher. The shooting happened at a school in Newport News in January 2023, and that student shot teacher Abigail Zwerner in the hand and the chest. Prosecutors say the assistant principal at the time, Ebony Parker, failed to respond to concerns about the student having a gun before the shooting. They say she stayed in her office and did not order a search or call police or even remove the child from class. Taking the stand yesterday, Zwerner described the moment that 6-year-old fired the weapon.
I saw at the corner of my eye, my peripheral, that a student had. I saw the student looking at me. I looked over. A gun was pointed right at me. He was holding a gun, the student. It was pointed right at me, and then I was shot.
Now, defense attorneys for Parker say other staff members at the school also had opportunities to intervene. Parker could face up to 5 years in prison if convicted on all counts. North Carolina is one of 16 states suing the U.S. Department of Education. And basically, this has to do with caps to federal student loan borrowing limits. The Department of Education is changing which degree programs qualify as professional degrees. And those are the students that can borrow up to $50,000 a year. Well, the new definition includes many healthcare programs. And the state argues those would prevent students from pursuing careers in healthcare.
We have a very clear primary care shortage in 93 of 100 counties, in particular in rural counties. If we have an even worse shortage, particularly of nursing, that is going to hit our rural counties the hardest.
So unless a court intervenes, the new borrowing limits are scheduled to take effect July 1st. Well, you are one step closer to being able to buy pre-canned cocktail drinks in grocery stores. See, yesterday, lawmakers advanced a bill that would allow the drinks to be sold in stores. And right now, you can only buy them in North Carolina's state-run ABC stores because they're made with spirits. Well, the bill now goes to another committee for review. Governor Josh Stein is addressing housing affordability in our state. In a new executive order, Stein is directing state agencies to work together to increase the housing supply. He's also wanting them to improve affordability across the state. The order creates a new senior housing policy advisor inside the governor's office. And the governor says the state faces a shortage of hundreds of thousands of housing units in coming years. That plus rising rent and home prices continue to squeeze families, and that's why he's taking action. All right, so warmer weather means more snake sightings. This right here, this is video sent to us by Christopher Lair in Cary, and it shows a copperhead in his yard. The snake was hiding under a pressure washer, and this close encounter was actually a first for him. He says his sighting this week is a good reminder that the snakes are coming out as the weather gets warmer.
I've seen them on the trails hiking and doing other things. out in the more of the wilderness area, but not so much, this close to home. And seeing one that close personally, that was like, oh, okay, it's that time.
One of the best ways to keep snakes away is to make sure that your yard is tidy. That includes keeping it clear of debris like firewood and leaves. And if you do see a snake in your yard, it's best just to stay away from it. I call snake nope ropes because nope, don't want any of that near me. So be careful if those are out there in your yard. Let's go ahead and swing into how warm it's going to get, and I don't know, possibly more snakes showing up, plus the next weather maker with Elizabeth Gardner.
It is that time of year, but yeah, I think they like that warmth, and so yeah, they're loving it for sure. We take a look here at what's going on. High pressure is what's brought us all the heat since the weekend, and it continues. But the high pressure system is a little farther east today than it was yesterday, and it will continue to gradually slide eastward. That will open the door for this next cold front to come through, and that cools off our temperatures and brings us that next chance for rain. That high's not going too far, though, so what's going to happen is that front's going to stall over us. It's been stalled back to the west, and now it's going to sit over us for a while and bring us some much-needed rain. But of course, the timing is right here during the holiday weekend, which, isn't the best for everybody, I'm sure. We're looking at clear skies this morning, 71 degrees. We have that southwest wind at 11, and that's what keeps the heat coming. 67 in Apex, 71 in Knightdale. It's 70 in Durham right now. And around town, it'll feel just like yesterday. Yesterday we hit 97, looking at 96 today for Raleigh, Durham, and in Fayetteville. And that will break our record high, or at least tie it for Raleigh. Fayetteville's record is 99, so we may not quite get it at Fayetteville, but it certainly looks like we have a good chance to tie it. Sunday, we broke a record at 94. Monday, a new record at 96. Yesterday, a new record at 97. So we are on a roll, that's for sure. Again, here's the reason for that. We have this flow coming out of the south. Notice how it shows up in red because it's a southerly flow. We'll have the front come through. It's still going to be pretty warm on Thursday because the showers and thunderstorms don't start until later in the day. But when the front sinks southward, our wind shifts to northeasterly, and that brings us to 72 for the high on Friday. So a big change there. Notice how much the moisture goes up as we get into the weekend. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have a bigger heat index. It just means that we have more moisture for these storms to pop up. So 72 Friday, and then we'll be in the mid-80s Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Right now, this mainly looks like afternoon and evening thunderstorms, but we're going to dig in to the timeline for the weekend rain and how much we could see coming up. But kind of interesting there, as we reverse our wind on Friday, we get down to 72, but then for the weekend and into early next week, we should be back to near normal in the low to mid-80s. Chris?
Normal would be nice.
It would.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Well, new shows and birthday milestones, plus a twist on a classic film. That's ahead in Hollywood Minute. Plus, saying I do. Tonight's Durham Bulls game will be a celebration of more than just baseball. How the team plans to help 9 couples mark a special day. And of course, we're taking a live look right now over at the downtown Cary Park. It looks nice. It looks quiet. Again, it's dark and early, but things, as Elizabeth were talking about, they're going to be really warm today. We'll get you another check of our forecast coming up in a bit, but we'll be right back after this break. Well, an unlikely pair is brought together and Cher hits a birthday milestone. Rick Damigella has those stories and more in today's Hollywood Minute.
I have this fantasy that someone's going to come and sit down next to me. Like, I'm Meg Ryan. We lock eyes. Then it happens.
An unexpected romance. Zoe Deutsch meets the man who takes over her sister's phone number after she passes away in Voicemails for Isabel. Nick Robinson plays the unlikely suitor in the upcoming rom-com, which lands on Netflix on June 19th.
Give my creation life!
Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein gets a new life. FX has reportedly picked up a new comedy based on the 1974 film. Zach Galifianakis stars in the reimagining, which plans to be a completely original take on the Gene Wilder classic.
You know what, dude? I'm going to be here when you're no longer working.
Cher turns 80. The legendary singer celebrates the milestone birthday May 20th. Cher first hit it big in Hollywood over 5 decades ago and is still going strong, most recently releasing a Christmas album and best-selling memoir. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Well, it looks like Michael Jackson's Billie Jean is back at #1 on the Billboard charts. And that classic hit topped Billboard's Global 200 charts this week, fueled by interest in, you guessed it, the new Michael Jackson biopic. This happened more than 4 decades after the song was released. All right, so get this. Today at Durham Bulls Athletic Park, there will be more than just baseball. There will be 9 weddings and 9 innings. We have Mix 101.5's Kyle, Brian, and Sarah that will conduct the ceremonies between the innings. One couple will celebrate their 50th anniversary, while 7 others will also renew their vows. And for one couple, they'll say I do for the first time. Pretty cool, right? All right, just a reminder, Game 2 of the NBA Western Conference Finals, that is tonight on NBC here on WRAL, right? It's the San Antonio Spurs versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Spurs won Game 1 on Monday night in a thrilling double OT game. Tonight's game starts at 8:30, and you can watch it right here on WRAL. The Butterfly Room at the Museum of Natural Sciences reopens this weekend, and the Living Conservatory is filled with live animals, including butterflies, a sloth, a snake, turtles, and so much more. The exhibit also features all kinds of plants, including orchids, mahogany trees, and figs. This will be open from 10 a.m. to 4. Oh, there's that snake. Uh-oh. Your time is 4:56. Lanes closed, the Harnett County crash that will affect your morning commute, and what we're learning from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. Plus, school HVAC issues. The schools in our region facing hot classrooms. How school leaders are working to keep students and teachers cool.